What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I know it's a Monday. It's a short work week for most people that are out there right now. We're coming off the end of a great football weekend, a lot of upsets in college football, a lot of weird games in the professional game as well. Once again, my name is Mike Tipton. This is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on Roku. We are live on Facebook, on the on X, on YouTube. We are all over the place. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's show. I got to monitor everything, make sure we've got everything working with us, and everything seems to be good at this moment, at least. We are presented by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33 to save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. Check them out today. RevAutoCarCare.com. That's the place that you want to go to. Got to make sure I have volume turned down on some other things. That way we don't get some echoes. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. Yesterday was a fun day, ain't it? And I hope with what we can take away from Sunday, all the games that we saw on Sunday, all the games that we saw on Thursday, and I need to apologize. I need to show some sort of I guess backbone here. I did not watch the Thursday night football game. I told everyone out there they probably shouldn't be watching the Thursday night football game. Obviously, me on my crusade, I'm going to fail because people love watching football no matter what. And that was a pretty decent game from at least the highlights and stuff that I saw. A nice close game. I thought Pittsburgh was just going to go in there and dominate the Cleveland Browns. Nice football weather type game, like the classic football weather type game. You have a blizzard that happens in the third quarter and just changes the entire trajectory of the game. Jameis Winston out here throwing dimes in snow. Who would have thought that Jameis Winston would be the guy to be able to throw dimes like that in a snow game? But nonetheless, he's out there dominating, doing his thing, being the Jameis Winston that we all know and love. A great quote for anyone out there that understands, press conferences and scrums and stuff like that. Jameis Winston is going to be a great quote each and every time. So I have to capitulate. I have to say, you know what? That was a good game. I apologize to the good people at Amazon. I apologize to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I apologize to the Cleveland Browns. I was wrong. I am willing to say that, at least at this moment right now. One thing that I wasn't wrong on, though, was the San Francisco 49ers having that window close on them. The San Francisco 49ers are a bad team. Where I was wrong on the San Francisco 49ers is I thought they would be a competitive team. I thought that there would be some pride with this team. Yes, they were missing Brock Purdy. Yes, they're missing Brandon Ayuk. They still had George Kittle. They still had Christian McCaffrey. They still had Ricky Parasol. They still had Deebo Samuel. This is a team that is just bad. And is it time for a coaching change in San Francisco? I don't know. It's hard for me to look at this team now and say, hey, it's time to move on from Kyle Shanahan. But how can you keep Kyle Shanahan around? How can you keep this coaching staff around? And the San Francisco 49ers are impacted by their own success, right? They are victims of their own success. The better you get, the more pieces you lose. You start losing the assistant coaches, like the Mike McDaniels going over to Miami. You start losing players left and right because you have other teams that are out there that are going to be targeting them in free agency. The San Francisco 49ers are now victims of their own success. And I was wrong thinking that this team would be competitive. I thought they would cover the 5.5-point spread. I didn't think Green Bay was going to be that overwhelming. And Green Bay went in there and just slapped around, or San Francisco rather, went to Green Bay and just got slapped around on the road. And what has to be one of the more demoralizing losses that we've seen in quite some time, not quite at the level that we saw with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just thrashing the New York Giants. I put out on social media the other day at Mr. Tipton33 on Instagram. I put up on Sundays, who do you think is going to win? And the amount of people that actually chose the Giants to me proved to me that they just don't watch football. It's like, yeah, I don't know what it was you saw. Tommy Cutlets, you thought he was going to be the one that was going to get you a win. Didn't happen. Tommy DeVito and the Giants fall short. Baker Mayfield stealing his celebration, which I thought was just one of the greatest troll jobs of all time. It's like Baker Mayfield's a number 1 overall pick. He's a former Heisman Trophy winner. He's a hell of a quarterback. He's the only reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are worth watching, and somehow, some way, just has the audacity and the gall to look at some dude who doesn't necessarily belong in the NFL and start stealing his touchdown celebration. I absolutely loved it. Baker Mayfield, hell of a troll job to you, my guy. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. But the game that I think I was surprised the most by, and maybe it's just me being the way that I am, was indeed the Dallas Cowboys getting the win over the Washington Commanders. According to all the betting lines out there, whether it was FanDuel, whether it was DraftKings, whether it was my friends over at Bovada.lv, every single one of them had the Commanders as an overwhelming favorite to just dominate the Dallas Cowboys. My guy Stephen Michael Puga saying Tommy Cutlets versus Cooper Rush on Thanksgiving. I can't wait. Also, I want to give a little bit of love to my guy Stephen Michael Puga. He had an amazing event this weekend over at the Neep Collective on the northeast of El Paso, a great comedy event. My guy, I bought tickets. Saturday, though, I was just exhausted. I spent basically all day with Prep One at the Greater El Paso High School Football Showcase. I owe you one, my guy. I will get on out there. I did buy the tickets, though, and I know that's all you care about. You don't care about seeing my goofy ass. You just care about my money, you jerk. I'm lashing out. I apologize. I shouldn't do that. But Tommy Cutlets versus Cooper Rush on Thanksgiving. After watching Cooper Rush perform with the Dallas Cowboys against the Washington Commanders, and I had to explain it like this. The Commanders were so much worse than what their record showed because they got lucky early on in the season. The Hail Mary wins against, the Bears and the last second wins that they were able to pull out, early on in the season. They had to start regressing back towards the mean of what the average is. I think this team is like a 9-8 type team, maybe a 10-7 type team, but they're not going to be a team that blows your doors off. The way they performed early on in the season isn't a way that you can sit back and be like, oh, yeah, I got a lot of faith in this team. I was saying it over the last couple of weeks. I think they're a good team. I think they'll still make the playoffs. But I know what we're going to get from this team once we get to the playoffs, and Washington is just going to get dominated by anybody that's out there. The Dallas Cowboys are not a good team. The Dallas Cowboys had a weapon yesterday on offense. Special teams, though, Kevontae Turpin is something else. But the Dallas Cowboys going out there, handling business against Washington, which I did not like. I was like that meme of the kid crying, like, do you love this team? Yeah, no. And then crying, like that thing. Because I wanted them to lose. Because I knew if they won that it would do this to me, which is what I'm about to do right now. And that is, it gave me hope. Look at what they have on their schedule coming up. They have the New York Giants that we just saw yesterday. Malik Neighbors in the locker room saying that they are soft as crap, that this team has quit, that he's tired of going out there every day and losing. But you just don't have it. That team does not have it. The whatever it is, the proverbial it, the New York Giants do not have. Dallas has at least a little bit of it, right? They're a crap sandwich that are just not soggy like the Giants are. They can win on Thanksgiving. They'll more than likely win on Thanksgiving. Now you've got 2 in a row. Horrible thought process if you want to have someone tank for the draft. There's a real possibility the Dallas Cowboys win that game against the Giants. I want to call it a toss-up between the Cowboys and the Bengals. The Bengals are not a good team this year. We've seen they are the most snake-bit team in the NFL. They invent ways to lose. Yes, Joe Burrow is going to be the better quarterback on the field that day, Yes, Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb might be the two best wide receivers on the field that day. Both of these teams have terrible defenses. At least the Dallas Cowboys defense can create some pressure. The Cincinnati Bengals defense is the hottest of garbage. The hottest of garbage. That could be a potential win for the Dallas Cowboys. And then following that, you have the Carolina Panthers that come in here. Does anybody, outside of the most diehard Carolina Panthers fan, does anybody out there think that the Carolina Panthers have a legitimate shot of beating anybody? Just anybody. Yes, I get it. The sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then, and the sun could be shining on the ass of the Carolina Panthers that day. But the fact of the matter is that the Carolina Panthers are not a good team. The Bengals are not a good team. The Giants are not a good team. And the Cowboys are maybe they're not such a bad team. There's obviously going to be issues for the Cowboys because you got Cooper Rush as your backup. But they dealt with a great pass rushing team that the Washington Commanders have, and they were actually able to hold up. Tyler Guyton seems to be the biggest issue on the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. They let him go, or they put him on the bench, and Austin Richards winds up being the starting left tackle for them, or he's in on a lot of plays, and he's playing awesome. You had to know that was coming, especially with this guy. The Dallas Cowboys did the most toxic thing the Dallas Cowboys could have done to at least me, to at least a lot of their fan base as well, and that is they gave us hope. It is so demoralizing to sit back and think to myself, this team is going to do what they do, which means they're going to win between 8 and 10 games. I don't think they beat Philadelphia. We're going to talk more about the Eagles in just a little bit. As a matter of fact, why don't I just go ahead and do this? I want to open up the link here, but I want to try to get some other people to join me. I want to try to get, there we go. If you are on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton and Tipton Sports Network broadcasting page, I went ahead and shared the link. You can go ahead and join me on here. I want to see what your opinions are as far as it goes with your NFL team. So we'll open that up in just a little bit. But I wanted to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC, basically the playoff picture that we're seeing from this. Because last week I was getting it from every angle. I know I alienated and I pissed off a lot of fans out there that are Dallas Cowboys fans because I had the audacity to say that the Philadelphia Eagles are the second best team in the NFC. I still believe in the Lions. I cannot see another team out there that can compete with the Philadelphia Eagles playing the way that they're playing right now. Again, winning in spite of Nick Sirianni's vast and vaster inadequacies, winning despite having Nick Sirianni as your head coach, who tries to lose as many games as possible. I wonder if Nick Sirianni, he calls a play or something like that, and the players are like, "Oh yeah, coach, no, for sure." And they run the play, they get a score, they go back to the sideline, and he's like, "Oh, that's not the play I called." No. Remember, you changed the game plan. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm a great coach." That's what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing with Nick Sirianni. The Dallas Cowboys, though, are going to be that team that's going to do the worst thing that they could possibly do to their fan base, which is giving their fan base hope. They are not going to be a great team. And yesterday, I was told by some people, "Oh, this is historically a bad draft," and blah, 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 blah. That's what people keep saying, I think, every single year, right? If we don't have the star quarterbacks that are out there that everyone thinks is going to change your franchise, it's a bad draft. I don't necessarily buy that nonsense. I think the Dallas Cowboys should not have won that game yesterday. They should have been competitive. I wanted to see a competitive game. It was fun to watch as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I loved every single second of it. Watching this team go out there and compete. The spin move that Kevontae Turpin did on the 99-yard touchdown where he dropped the kickoff and had to run all the way back to the 1-yard line and somehow, some way was able to go through untouched to get a touchdown to give the Cowboys another lead. only to watch the Cowboys almost give up that same lead on an 86-yard bomb to Terry McLaurin, who did nothing all game long, except whenever they needed him to step up and get them an 86-yard touchdown, to watching the missed field goal that Washington had. I once again, I'm an older person, so I was of the belief with the Dallas Cowboys, instead of returning the onside kick, slide at the 1 yard line. You want to get your touchdown, cool guy, I guess. Whatever, it's just something different for me. But at no point in time, until the clock said 0-0-0-0, did I think that the Dallas Cowboys were going to win that game. As a matter of fact, there were 33 seconds left in the game. Dallas is going to kick off. Brandon Aubrey is just going to launch that thing into the end zone. My son's sitting there in the room with me. Jericho is sitting in the room with me. And he says, "Oh, it's over." And I said, "Nope, not with this team. Not with the Dallas Cowboys." 33 seconds is a lifetime for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a lifetime for a lot of you guys out there. That was unnecessary. I apologize. But it was a lifetime for the Dallas Cowboys defense. And I said to myself, 33 seconds, a lot of things can happen. Maybe we get overtime. In 33 seconds, I was thinking that. Knowing Washington had no timeouts, I still thought that the Dallas Cowboys defense was going to give up a play. As soon as the ball's in the air, I sit there and say to myself, "Oh, this is not good." Terry McLaurin comes down with that ball, and he's got nothing but field ahead of him. And I say, "You've got to be effing kidding me," and just start laughing uncontrollably like the Joker, because I knew this team was going to hurt me again in the Dallas Cowboys, and they were going to disappoint me. Watching them miss the field goal, watching Austin Seibert miss the field goal for the Washington Commanders made me happy. I was happy with that. But I just could not at any point in that game have imagined that the Dallas Cowboys would have won that game. Now you're going to have the people out there talking about, "Oh, there's still a shot." Believe it or not, until Philadelphia won yesterday, until the Eagles won yesterday, there was a shot. Yay big, as tiny as it may have been, there was a possibility for the Dallas Cowboys to win the number 1 overall seed. It was the smallest of shots. It took the Lions and the Eagles winning. Both of them had to win, and now the Cowboys can no longer be the number 1 seed in the NFC. But think about how terrible the season's been for the Cowboys, and that if, once again, you catch lightning in a bottle and the sun shines on a dog's ass that is the Dallas Cowboys, and they could have had all of these things play out, the Dallas Cowboys could have won the NFC. Thank God they're not going to now. We know they're not going to. I don't know if this team is going to make the playoffs. I will look at their schedule coming up in just a little bit. I only had those 4 games on my mind. I know they have Philadelphia after Carolina, and that's going to be a loss. The Dallas Cowboys cannot beat the Carolina Panthers or the Philadelphia Eagles, rather. The Cowboys will not beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That running game the Eagles have, the best in the NFL. Hands down, the best in the NFL with what the Philadelphia Eagles have been able to do this year. But they did the one thing I wish they would not have done, and that's give idiots like me hope that they can actually do something. I have convinced myself of this. By the end of this 4-game stretch, Washington, New York, Cincinnati, and Carolina, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be 7-7. And I hate them for it. Whenever we come back here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, we're going to talk some more about the NFL. We're going to go over the Philadelphia Eagles. I am not going to let this go to the wayside. The Philadelphia Eagles are arguably the best team in the NFC and arguably the best team in the NFL. And I don't know how anyone else out there can attempt to change my mind. A message from our friends over at Rev Auto. Once again, the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton right here on Roku via National Streaming Sports.
Hello, everybody. Bernie Olivas, Executive Director of the Sun Bowl Association, giving a little update for the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, which will be played on December 31st at noon at the Sun Bowl Stadium. Still too early to find out who's coming to the game, but I'll give you a little update. I get a lot of questions as to what's going to happen with the Pac-12 now that they're dissolved. Well, for the next 2 years, the Sun Bowl Association will have a pick of all the Pac-12 schools that left. So we still have access. We're going to still have access to UCLA and USC and Washington and Oregon and Cal and Arizona State and Utah. But on the other side, it's still going to be the ACC. So a lot of people have been asking the questions about now that there's only 2 Pac-12 teams, who are you going to go? Well, now you know, again, December 31st, 12 noon, Sun Bowl Stadium. Tickets are going pretty well. So don't be left out. Come by the office or go to Ticketmaster and get your tickets. We'll be waiting for you.
Get ready, Sun Bowl fans. The 2024 Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl is back, and it's bigger and better than ever. Mark your calendars. Tickets are now on sale. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the action, don't miss out on the best seats in the house. Secure your tickets before Thanksgiving and be a part of the tradition. Last year's game was a sellout. Don't wait until it's too late. Join us on December 31st for a day of unforgettable football, family fun, and festive cheer. Visit sunbowl.org to grab your tickets. The clock is ticking. Be there when history is made.
Welcome back to the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on Roku. We are streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, all over the places where we are. Once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I know it is a short week. It is a holiday week. I don't know how I'm going to do a show on Thursday. It might be pre-recorded. We might just go somewhere on Wednesday night and have ourselves a good old time. I've got to try to figure that out. It was something I literally thought of right now is how am I doing a show on Thursday? How am I doing stuff on Wednesday? Do I want to do all this stuff live? The answer to do I want to do all this stuff live is always yes. It is 100% yes, I want to do this live. But maybe on Wednesday we just find ourselves a place to hang out. We all have ourselves a good old time. Get away from the family for the people that have family that are coming into town. Just because you know it's going to be super annoying having to deal with them for a full 72 straight hours. So why not? Why not find a different place that you can go to, and maybe I can be that relief for you. I want to give a shout out to our friends over at myhappynuts.com. What a segue. Oh my God, that was amazing. But myhappynuts.com, they have some of the best male grooming products that are out there. You need to check them out. And what you can do is go to myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and look at the different bundles they have for holiday season, for the Black Friday event that's happening. It's already live over at myhappynuts.com, up to 40% on things like the comfort cream that they have. And trust me, I would not be talking about this product if I did not absolutely love it. myhappynuts.com, you lather it on to the nether region. You know it gets swampy, especially in a place here like El Paso where there's a ton of heat. If you're a big fat guy like me, you know you generate a lot of heat. You get a lot of chafing. Treat yourself. Make sure you're taken care of in that area down there. Anti-chafing cream. It is fantastic. It's nice and smooth. It makes sure that everything's taken care of. myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Save up to 40% on their Black Friday deals and just in time for the holiday season. Got to make a commercial for My Happy Nuts. Like another one that I did, the one that I did on Instagram. Yeah, I got a lot of people that liked it. Yes, it was able to generate enough. But it's also kind of weird because it's me basically telling haters to stay on my nuts, which kind of not that professional. So maybe we find another way to make a video that's a little better. That gives My Happy Nuts the love they deserve. Make sure your nuts are just as happy as mine. I've already got a song in mind, so we'll see how that goes. Also, this is one of those moments, and to the Roku audience, to the people that are new to get to see the nonsense that this is, I'm one of those people, like, I don't like the sound of my own voice. I know people tell me all the time, like, oh, you got a great voice and all that. But as soon as I said that, I thought to myself, damn, that sounds creepy. And it sure as hell did sound creepy. So I apologize to everyone out there for having to deal with the noises that come out of my mouth. All right, I mentioned it before we went to break that I wanted to talk a little bit about the NFL. I want to go over some of the scores real quick. We know about the game on Thursday, the Browns beating the Steelers 24-19. The Vikings getting an overtime win 30-27 over the Bears at Chicago, in Chicago rather. Caleb Williams actually had himself a game. 32 of 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Aaron Jones cracking the 100-yard line. You know, us in El Paso, we absolutely love that. The Lions with a 24-6 win over the Colts. If anybody chose the Colts over that, it was a 7.5-point spread. You had to hammer the Lions on that one. If you didn't do that, you're drunk. It's just that simple. The Dolphins with a 34-15 win over the Patriots. The Patriots falling to 3-9 on the season. The Dolphins improving to 5-6. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a 30-7 win over the New York Giants. Baker Mayfield stealing Tommy Cutlett's celebration the way that it should be. The Washington Commanders fall to the Dallas Cowboys 34-26 in a game that was much closer than 34-26 would say. The Chiefs with a 30-27 win over the Panthers. Once again, a one-score game for the Chiefs, but they get it done at on the road. They just get it done. They do what they do best, and that is just win. That's all you can expect from this team. Just win. The Tennessee Titans, though, go into Houston and stun the Houston Texans. The Texans falling to 7-5 on the season. The Titans improving to 3-8. 32-27, the score there in favor of the Titans. Will Levis, 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. We're getting to witness the rise of Will Levis. Can he keep it going? We'll see. Former Dallas Cowboys running back Tony Pollard, 119 yards, 1 tutty. If only they had a run game in Dallas, things might be a little better. Who knows? The Denver Broncos get the win over the Raiders 29-19. The Packers 38-10 over the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks 16-6 over the Cardinals. That was my sneaky upset of the week. It was only a 1-point difference, but the Seahawks being a 1-point dog at home, for those that don't know how betting lines work, you get 2 points. You're automatically awarded 2 points at home, which means that technically the Cardinals were considered a 3-point favorite over the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks getting the win there, getting tied for first place in the NFC West. The Cards falling to 6-5, Seattle improving to 6-5. And then, of course, the Eagles with a 37-20 win over the Rams. The Rams, they're a weird team to try to judge right now. That game was not that close. I know it was a 17-point game. It really wasn't that close. At no point in time in the game did you think that the Rams were going to make a run at the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Eagles did what the Eagles are supposed to do, and that's go out there and dominate. And whenever you look at what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing right now as a whole, Jalen Hurts having kind of a pedestrian season as a passer, 2,376 yards. He's 62% on his completion percentage. You know, it's nothing great. 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I guess that's all fine and dandy, right? But this team's identity is as a running team. You have Saquon Barkley, who has 1,392 yards, almost 200 yards, or actually 200 yards more than second place, which is Derrick Henry. He's also got 10 touchdowns on the season, 12 20-plus yard runs. He is in just a different level right now where Saquon Barkley is performing. We see what he can do with what is considered the best offensive line in the NFL. And it's not just that you have the threat of Saquon Barkley being back there as your running back, but you also have Jalen Hurts, who is back there as a guy that can run the ball, as a guy that you have to game plan for. I said it all season long. The Philadelphia Eagles are the Baltimore Ravens of the NFC. They have a great running quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson's a slightly better passer, or I think Jalen Hurts is a slightly better passer than Lamar Jackson is. I think Lamar Jackson's a more dynamic runner than Jalen Hurts is. Derrick Henry getting a little older. We know he can still do what he does because he's Derrick Henry and he's a machine. But Saquon Barkley looks like he has just entered the prime of his career, which is a terrifying aspect to think of if you are a fan of another team in that division, in that conference, really. Because the Eagles have been good. They've been on the doorstep. Yes, last year they had that catastrophic collapse, but that was because they didn't have the ability to just be a running team. Not only can they run the ball, but you have amazing weapons out there as well with Dallas Goedert, with Devontae Smith, with A.J. Brown. You have the best offensive line, or at least categorically one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And you have a solid defense, a defense that creates a lot of pressure, a defense that gets to the quarterback, that can create turnovers. Obviously, we saw the issue, the scary injury yesterday with Darius Slay going down. How is that going to impact the Philadelphia Eagles going forward? That's a big one, right? But worst case scenario, he misses a couple of games. I still don't think that that's going to be the reason why they wind up losing. And the Eagles, to me, and I should have done this earlier, so I'm going to type it in right now. I apologize. I wanted to see what the Eagles' schedule is going to be like for the rest of the year. Coming up for the Philadelphia Eagles is they're going to have a bye week this week. Oh, man, they picked a perfect time for it. You get Thanksgiving, you get all that stuff. Oh, good for them. Actually, no, they don't have the bye week. Never mind. My apologies. I'm dumb. I don't know how to read. I forgot that Thanksgiving was late this year. But they have the Ravens on December 1st. They have the Panthers after that. That Ravens game, that might be a toss-up. They have the Panthers after that. They've got the Steelers, and I had a lot of faith in the Steelers going up against Cleveland. There's still some steps that need to be made for this team. So I think the Eagles win that game. They have the Commanders. I think the Eagles win that game. They have the Cowboys. I think the Eagles win that game. And then they have the Giants. I think the Eagles win that game. Worst case scenario right now for the Eagles is that they lose 2 games. They lose 2 more games remaining on their schedule. That to me is the worst case scenario for the Eagles. Best case scenario is I think there's a legitimate shot here that if they stay hot, they can win all of those games. They can win their remaining, 6 games? They could win their remaining 6 games. And we're talking about a team that winds up going into the season with a 16-1 record, going into the playoffs with a 16-1 record. It is a real possibility with this Philadelphia Eagles team that they can do that. The Detroit Lions, there's more than likely a possibility of a slip up there because we see the NFC North. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. The NFC North is the best division in football. You have the Packers getting their wins. You have the Vikings getting their wins. The Lions are 10-1 on the season and somehow have 0 separation because the Vikings are 9-2 and the Packers are 8-3. Obviously, you have the dog crap Bears out there. My guy Tommy Cananza saying good morning. Good morning, Tommy. Want to get your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys game that we got to witness yesterday. A fun game with the Dallas Cowboys that we got to witness yesterday. Remember, everybody, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook via the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton and Tipton Sports Network broadcasting pages. We're live on X as well, on my personal page on X at Mr. Tipton33. And, of course, we are live on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. National Streaming Sports doing a fantastic job getting all the sports coverage out there based out of Philadelphia. So you know they're having themselves a great time today. Seeing that big win that they had, great coverage all around the clock. I'm just lucky enough to be a part of the morning programming that they have. 10 o'clock in the morning over in Philadelphia, 8 o'clock in the morning here in El Paso, Monday through Thursday. We're getting better at it. We're trying to get more consistent with some of the stuff we do. Always difficult to launch a new show and then have the holiday season. So please just bear with me as I try to get my footing and doing all the things that I need to do to help grow this show. But Tommy Cananza, a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and commenting on here, he felt like he lost all after all the stupidity we saw in the last minutes of that game. The last 3 minutes of that Cowboys game were, if you're just a fan of football, that had to be the most fun that anybody has had watching just football, because it was so back and forth. If you love defense, you probably hated it. If you're a person that's still out there like, oh no, you need to have great defense. I want a defensive game. You're a loser. I'm just gonna say that right now. You don't like fun. You're the person that goes to parties and talks about dead people. That's who you. If you're the person that's like, I still love defensive football, you are the Debbie Downer at the party. 100%. Nobody likes you. Work on yourself. That was so mean. Jesus, I'm an ass. Anyway, that was such a good final 3 minutes of that game. Lasted forever. I know a lot of guys out there are like 3 minutes is forever, but that game lasted forever. And we had to sit back and think to ourselves, the Dallas Cowboys, one, really could have essed the bed. They could have crapped the bed on this one. The Commanders really did crap the bed on their season, because now you have to have lost all faith in the Commanders. They've lost 3 straight games. Yeah, losing to Philadelphia, you're like, okay, I can see that Philadelphia is one of the best in the NFL. Losing to the Dallas Cowboys? Losing to the Dallas Cowboys? And you want to sit there and look at yourself as a team that can be a playoff contender? I thought that was going to be the Dan Quinn like revenge game against the Cowboys, because I thought the Cowboys were going to keep Dan Quinn, get rid of Mike McCarthy, and maybe just go off the momentum he has, because you can see that Dan Quinn is a hell of a locker room guy. That team loves him. Look at the amount of Dallas Cowboys players that left to go be with the Washington Commanders because Dan Quinn became their coach. Tommy Cananzo saying they were trying to, the Commanders were just not having it. DQ was like, nah, you're winning this game, Mike. I love that mindset. It was like both teams wanted to win and lose that game at the same time. They were doing everything they could to win and lose at the exact same time. And to me, it's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing to sit here and think that me, just a couple of weeks ago, was talking about how good the Washington Commanders are, that this might be a sneaky playoff team. Given the last couple of weeks, that what we've seen from this team, I'm not going to say they're miles away, but they're just not near as close as what we thought. Like they are a mirage. They have the ability to be a good team, but as we know, they have a lot of players on one-year contracts. You're showing now that you have some talent on your team. Teams are going to like these players, poach them from you. How are you going to rebuild? How are you going to sustain? You have to give it up to teams like the San Francisco 49ers, who are constantly in the playoffs, who made deep playoff runs, who are able to sustain having a lot of their team taken away from them, poached away from them, coaching staff poached away from them. Look at how important it is whenever you lose offensive and defensive coordinators. If you don't believe into that stuff, look at what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They lose a head coach in Steichen, or they lose an offensive coordinator in Steichen. They lose a defensive coordinator in Gannon. They go over to Arizona and to Indiana, and now the Eagles had to find a way to navigate through that. You could see last year they just didn't have the continuity that they needed. They missed, they made the playoffs, but they didn't do what people thought they should have done in the playoffs. It was a terrible season for them, especially at the end of the season. Tommy Carranza saying, in all fairness, Mike, those players weren't going to get paid in Dallas. I don't think they were even offered a contract in Dallas. Again, like I agree with that. I felt that the biggest loss the Dallas Cowboys had this offseason was the offensive lineman Tyler Biadasz. He's such a good center, and he wasn't getting Pro Bowl nominations just based off a name the way that Tyron Smith was. He was earning them. And to me, continuity on the offensive line is great. I imagine how good this team could be, the Dallas Cowboys could be, if they had kept Tyler Biadasz, had Beebe, who is their center now, but was a guard all throughout college, as their guard, and then move Tyler Smith out to being their left tackle. Then you got Guyton and Richardson and all of them as depth. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, need. And it would just be that one player. I wish, and I get you, because I've said it a bunch of times too, spending $90 million in the offseason on 2 players was going to handcuff the Dallas Cowboys and what they're able to do as far as salary cap goes. But there was a part of me that really wanted them to just find a way to sign Tyler Biadasz, because I felt like that would have been something that helps out the offensive line. Tyler Guyton can be good. He just doesn't seem to have it right now. And I think the Dallas Cowboys going forward are going to have Awesome Richardson as their main left tackle, just because you saw a lot of big plays yesterday for the Cowboys get called back because Guyton wasn't lined up correctly, which we've seen the NFL has had that's been their huge thing this year, is we're going to make sure that everyone on the line is lined up correctly and blah, 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 blah. Procedural penalties, holdings, just things like that he's got to get worked out. And I think that just happens with time, right? You got to watch. You got to – I think he's going to be a great player, Tyler Guyton. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. He just needs to find his footing. And throwing him into the fire, I thought at least, was not the way that the Dallas Cowboys needed to do this. I understood why they did it. He's a high-round draft pick. You just lost a lot of people on the offensive line. But again, I felt like if the Dallas Cowboys could have found a way to sign Tyler Biadasz, that would have been the one thing that I would have just been so happy about. Not necessarily Tony Pollard, not so much Derrick Henry. It was the offensive line. That's always been the crown jewel of the Dallas Cowboys, and this year it seems to be a little bit of an issue. But again, looking at what the Eagles have done, I keep going back to the Dallas Cowboys. It's amazing to me. Tommy was one of those people last week that was like, look, Tip, they're going to collapse. They're going to find a way to Amber Heard a bed. I don't see it this year. This team is so much better talent-wise, continuity-wise. I think they're winning in spite of their coach. There's something about mutual hatred that brings out the best in people, right? Everyone always talks about mutual love and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Whenever 2 people genuinely hate someone else, it creates a friendship that will never be broken. I know, because I'm a hater. I'm a hating-ass hater. I got no problem saying that stuff. Mutual hatred brings out the best in people. And I feel like that team on both the offensive and defensive sides absolutely hate Nick Sirianni. They want to win because of them. They know they're a talented team, but Nick Sirianni and his dumb face have to just be looking at this team all the time, the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have to sit there and think to themselves, how is this guy going to be the one trying to tell us what to do? He wins a game and yells at his own fans after beating the Cleveland Browns. Everyone beats the Cleveland Browns except for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like what I'm seeing out of Philadelphia right now. And as a Cowboys fan, that hurts, right? But I also have to be unbiased as I possibly can. And I look at Philadelphia and I see what they can do as a team. I see a great defense. I see a great offense. I see Saquon Barkley potentially becoming the MVP of this league, which is super weird because that seems to be a quarterback award. If Saquon Barkley isn't the MVP of this year, something catastrophic would have to happen. He has done what Philadelphia needed, and that has turned them around. He gave them an edge. The Giants chose Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley, and now released Daniel Jones. He's gone. Danny Dimes, we're going to give you a lot of money. Wow, you are pretty terrible. You went almost 2 full calendar years between throwing touchdown passes at home. They motivated Saquon Barkley to prove to this whole Giants organization and a lot of the people in the NFL that were like, nah, this guy's not good, to prove to them that Saquon Barkley is indeed the best running back in the NFL. And right now, the stats are in his favor. Yeah, Derrick Henry's got a couple more touchdowns than he does. But Saquon Barkley has what has to be the most memorable play of the season this year. Ass hurdling, jumping backwards over somebody in an NFL game where you are the most talented of the most talented's most talented. Saquon Barkley is standing out head and shoulders above everyone else. There's something about this team with the Philadelphia Eagles that scares me if I'm the Detroit Lions. There's also something about the Detroit Lions that scared me if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that matchup is going to be so much fun if we get that in the playoffs. I want that matchup just in my veins. I want that matchup between the Lions and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. That to me would be one of those championship games that's better than the Super Bowl, because that's going to be so much fun to watch. They're just going to beat the hell out of each other. Tommy Cananza saying the Eagles were 10-1 last year and they collapsed. It will happen again this year because of their head coach. Again, I think they're winning in spite of him. They have galvanized themselves as a team to just be like, this idiot over here thinks he's going to take all the credit. How many times have we seen that in our workplace where we know somebody's in a position that they should not be in, and we perform better to prove to everybody that it ain't that person that's the reason for our success? I know I have. And I'm sure a lot of people out there have. That's just how we are as human beings. Is we see someone out there that's either gonna be an anchor or just dead weight wrapped around your neck, that's more than likely gonna hold you down, and you do everything you can to, one, pull their weight that they don't deserve, but you have to do anyway because you're a team, and then perform to the best of your abilities. The Philadelphia Eagles are doing that. They are dragging the corpse that is Nick Sirianni's coaching career behind them as they make their run towards the playoffs so that they can just get it like a bag of crap, toss it over their shoulder and land it on the floor and be like, someone come clean this up. Also, how great would it be if the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl and then we get to say Nick Sirianni, Super Bowl winning head coach? That's going to get him jobs for other teams where he does not deserve to have a job. I just realized right now I have a lot of vitriol towards Nick Sirianni. I don't know where all this came from. I also realize the time right now, and I almost did another 30-minute segment, so I'm going to take another quick break, give you all a message from our friends over at Beerbox, beerbox.com. That's where you go to get all your craft beers shipped over to you. I wanted to do a commercial this week. I'm going to be completely open and honest with all of y'all. I wanted to do a commercial this week. I just got so caught up in stuff, launching new podcasts. If you're interested in starting a podcast, get at me, Mike@TiptonSports.com, Mike@TiptonSports.com. We could talk about getting your podcast started for you. And I also covered the Conference USA Volleyball Championship tournament that happened this week in El Paso. And, of course, Prep One's coverage of the Greater El Paso High School Football Showcase, where the best players, the 90 best players in El Paso, were drafted to the two teams for their all-star game. A great weekend for your boys. So I wasn't able to do that commercial for beerbox.com, but I will promise you by the time Thanksgiving comes in 2027 that I will have a new commercial for you. Taking a quick break right now. We'll be right back on The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. What's up, everybody? Mike Tipton here on a Sunday afternoon, about to enjoy the Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers, and I want to let you know about my friends over at Beerbox. Beerbox.com is a place that I went to get my craft beer delivered at home. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The first beer we're going to be trying is from Fat Orange Cat Brewing Company in North Haven, Connecticut. I am so mad at myself because I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and I should have stopped by the brewery and tried some of their beers, but I got it delivered by my friends over at Beerbox. So let's go ahead and give it a try. A little ASMR for the ASMR audience here. The Baby Kittens from Fat Orange Cat Brew Company in North Haven, Connecticut is a hazy IPA. And you can see right there how beautiful it is, how hazy that looks. It's got a 6.5% ABV, so you know it's going to pack a little bit of a punch. I'm not a big IPA guy, but I can't wait to try this one. I can already smell that it's going to be super fresh. So here we go. Cheers. That is very interesting. It's not super impactful like what you normally get with a lot of IPAs. I think I might be a fan. I think a hazy IPA might be the way that I'm going to start going in the future. There you have it. The Baby Kittens from Fat Orange Cat Brewing Company in North Haven, Connecticut. I'm giving that one an 8 out of 10. That is a great overall beer. So the next beer we have is going to be the Greenhouse Pilsner from Evil Twin Brewing Company in Ridgewood, New York. This is a Pilsner. It's got a 5% alcohol ABV on it, but you can see here an absolutely beautiful can. I love the artwork on that. That thing is absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to try this one. Here we go again for the ASMR audience. Oh, that was good. Look at that thing of beauty right there from the Evil Twin Brewing Company in Ridgewood, New York. This Greenhouse Pilsner, look how beautiful that beer is right there. There we go. Bottoms up. Cheers, everybody. Man, that's good. That is phenomenal. I'm giving that one a 9 out of 10. That beer is absolutely flavorful. What you need to do to try different beers like this from different areas, you don't have to travel out of town anymore and try to find them out. All you have to do is go over to beerbox.com. It's super simple the way that it works. So here's what you got to do. Just simply subscribe. That's simple. Can't be any easier than that. It's month to month, and you can cancel any time. Obviously, you must be 21 to enjoy. Then all you got to do is get ready. The experts at BeerBox select a top-notch variety of craft beer packed, shipped directly to your front door. Then just sit back and enjoy a monthly surprise of quality craft beer from the best breweries across America. Once again, beerbox.com, that's the place that you go to order all the best craft beer throughout the United States. Get your subscription today. Must be 21 or over to enjoy. Glad we were able to get that one in right there. My goodness, I only have 4 minutes left on the show. Actually, 3 minutes left on the show before I got to hit another commercial break. But everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Once again, we are live on Roku. We are on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. We are all over the place. Tommy Cananza continuing his crusade, his anti-Nick Sirianni crusade, saying they were winning in spite of Nick Sirianni last year too, and they didn't get the job done. Then saying the Bucs already beat them and the Lions are going to destroy them. It will be a quick exit for the Philadelphia Eagles, Mike, and then going on to say that he cannot stand Nick Sirianni. I don't know if it's going to be a quick exit for them. I get it, my guy. We're Cowboys fans. We want to see that happen, right? I don't think it's that cut and dry. You said it about the 49ers. You thought the 49ers were going to beat them. Do you think, seeing what you saw from the 49ers yesterday, that's going to be a good enough team to even make the playoffs? I don't trust Minnesota. Sam Darnold, are we going to trust Sam Darnold in the playoffs? And the answer to that is no. Are you going to trust the Packers? Maybe. That's a maybe team. The only team here that I can say is unequivocally better than the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC is the Detroit Lions. Flatly. And I will continue to say that for the remainder of my time, that as of right now, the only team that's better than the Philadelphia Eagles are the Detroit Lions. And it's that simple to me, right? Later on today, the final game that we have on this week's slate of the NFL is the Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh taking on John Harbaugh. The Chargers hosting the Ravens. Who's going to win this game? It's got to be the Ravens, right? Like I like the defense that the Chargers have, but the Ravens are just so much better. The Ravens are a solid team here. There's a lot of question marks to me with the Chargers, and again, it's their first year. There's going to be some growing pains here, so I think that win is going to wind up going to the Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens. Bovada.lv has the Ravens as a 2.5-point favorite. I'm taking that. I am hammering that as their 2.5-point favorite. I think they're winning this game by at least a touchdown. Going with the Ravens here, expecting a big night from Derrick Henry. He's 200 yards behind Saquon Barkley for the rushing leader right now, and we'll see if he's able to catch up on that a little bit later on today. All right, everybody. Real quick show today. This one flew by. I apologize for how disoriented it might have seemed here towards the end, but I want to give a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in, whether you're doing that on Facebook, YouTube, X, or on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. Thank you, National Streaming Sports, for allowing this show to be a part of your platform, and we will see you all tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.